I'm Nick Winder with Winder's Woodshop, and today I just want to do a simple Scrollsaw puzzle. So I found this template from scrollsaw.com/jigsaw. They had several different options there. I got this 3mm 12 by 12 craft plywood. I think I just picked that up at Menards. I found that an Elmer's glue stick works very well for putting this together. And we're just going to glue the template onto here. I've cut on this before, so I got some not sharp edges. I do have a couple factory ones though. Stick it on there, smooth it out. You can get a corner sticking up, that's alright. Glue her back down. Main purpose is just to keep this down. You can use other things. You can use double-sided tape if you want. You can probably use some spray glue. I'm hoping that this will be pretty easy to clean up. After that, we're going to go to the scroll saw and we'll cut it out. So now what we'll end up doing is cutting these out. I don't have a super thin blade, so I'm probably going to struggle a little bit getting in and out of those grooves. If I had a thinner blade, I imagine I can make those cuts pretty easily. As you can see on here, I missed some of my lines. It's not a huge deal in the end. However, if you do tend to go off, don't try to go back and fix it. Just go with it. Otherwise, you'll get a really loose fitting puzzle piece. So, something to think about for safety. On this next part, we're going to start cutting out the individual pieces. They get smaller. Watch your fingers. That one might have been one of my better pieces right there. So, let's get things reset up. We're going to get these pieces cleaned off, and we're going to try to Mod Podge another image onto here. So I quickly did a couple just to see the best way to clean these off. I think if you just take some, peel off what you can really quick. I mean, it's just glue, glue stick. It's not going to stay on a whole lot. Then maybe take some denatured alcohol. And you can kind of just rub the rest of it off really easily. You get a nice little piece. Denature alcohol dries fairly fast, so we should be able to get through these pretty quickly. Sometimes you get a nice clean tear anyways, and there's not a whole lot left to do. I imagine I'm going to have a little more issue with the center pieces. So one thing to keep in mind when you're cutting these out, just kind of make sure you got some kind of hook on them. That helps kind of lock the pieces into place. You don't have to follow the template exactly. And like I said, if you do mess up, just go with it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with missing pieces of your puzzle. Don't try to fix that one. But really, you just kind of want something that walks in nicely. And as you can tell, that glue stick holds this on pretty well. And I don't usually have issues with it coming off while I'm cutting it on the scroll saw. So I think I'm going to finish these real quick and then we'll come back. Alright, so I got this all cleaned off. Nice thing about that denatured alcohol is it also kind of gives you an idea what a finish would look like, so you can kind of see where you might have some missing. The other thing I did off camera, took a little bit of sandpaper, and I just got the fuzzies off the edges. You can probably tell right there was some tear out. I'm just going to go with it. It's a wood puzzle. It's, craft plywood pretty much. And honestly, this is probably going to go to my 3-year-old who won't care at all. So I've never Mod Podged anything onto wood before. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could probably take some blue painter's tape and tape the back side of this and keep it tighter. I'm just going to go with it. So I think what we got to do is first you seal your Mod Podge from your crafty daughter. It should probably be nice and pour a little bit of it out into a bowl rather than use the same brush, but we'll see. I'm using a foam brush. Seems like you can use lots of different things. But really, we're just spreading this out in an even thing. Really not sure how much we're supposed to do, so if it doesn't turn out, you'll probably see a different image once we all do it. So we got that done. We're also going to Mod Podge the image. When we do the image, it's going to go over backwards, so if it matters, if you got words, don't forget to reverse it before you print it, and then everything will show up the proper way. This image is one that I took at a campsite I stayed at the Hoosier National Forest. It's like the Twin Lakes. It was, I think, the Indian and Salina Lakes. This stuff's getting tacky. All right. And we're just going to place it on here. Get it nice and centered. I think you get a little bit of time to move it. You can kind of see that it's there. I think you're supposed to let it dry and then come back and you can rub all that paper off. So, probably tomorrow. If I failed, it'll be a different image. Another thing you might notice, I do have a little bit where I didn't cut straight here on this side. I'm guessing, if I really felt the need, I can take it to my belt sander and I could probably square it all up on both sides. Really cut your image a little bit bigger. Make sure your top and bottoms are square. And don't leave any flappies like that. But it's too late for me there. Alright. Tomorrow we'll do the big reveal. Alright, it's the next day. We got this dried now. I believe it's the first time I've done it. You just take some water, towel, and you start rubbing it off. Start in the center. Looks like I'm going to have a little bit of problem here. With the ink bleeding. What? It does have a nice vintage look to it. It only took, I don't know, 4 minutes to do that. So, I think we break it apart here. You see, it'll come apart fairly easily. Now, this was my first time Mod Podging, right? Also could be that everything's just slightly swollen from everything being slightly wet. But they did come apart. If I had to guess, some of these places where you just see plain wood at is probably where I didn't get enough Mod Podge on, or didn't use enough pressure on the paper. However, for a simple project, it doesn't take a whole lot of tools. It will make my son happy. It wasn't that bad of a thing. Overall, I think it took about an hour to do, if that. And yeah. So I'm thinking more Mod Podge and more pressure on some of these areas. Squeegee probably would have helped better. But overall, for my first attempt, I'm going to be happy with that.